Chris James, and you're watching Healthy Alternative. Today, I want to talk about the benefits of Michael, and today we're going to be talking about...
Today we'll be making one of my favorite soups.
Welcome to the JR72 Challenge.
I am Animated Mel, and I am your mental and wellness coach for
As always, perfection is not needed, but consistency.
We must first lovingly accept what is. You can't heal a body you hate.
I just want to take a moment to say thank you to all of you all for coming. This community is designed to support you in that time. It's really to utilize when things are bad and when you're at your lowest.
I started to learn about emotions. I started to learn about finding root causes, right? Starting to understand addiction and how addiction is not, once again, the issue that we are using a negative stimulus as a coping mechanism.
Part of my mission is to make sure people know that everything we need comes in a natural form. It's already here for us.
I am determined. I am strong. And I am ready.
We must first lovingly accept what is. I often say, you can't heal a body you hate.
This is healthy blood cells. And that's what we're aiming for. So you can see the contrast. Okay? What you do matters.
Thank you all for coming. Be blessed.
We're going to bring up your next speaker. That's going to be the wonderful, magnificent Chris James.
If you talk about how much you hate your fat, your body has been working all this time to keep you alive. I don't think anybody in my circle understands impossible. All right. Let me know if you can hear me and see me properly so we can get going. Gotta always ask. Yeah, y'all made it. We live. I haven't done this one in a while. I haven't done like a live question and answer, so I figured we would do that. I'm definitely promoting the R72 challenge as always. But I figured, usually I do lessons and we teach about what this, that, and the other. I'm like, you know what? we'll do a what do you call it? A rap session. I think that's something my dad used to say. Let's have a rap session. You know what I mean? So, thank you. Okay. So y'all good. We're good. You can hear me. You can see me. So I'm gonna start talking to give y'all time so that you can put questions in the chat, because I really want to just interact and do questions today. But we've got the R72 challenge starting on Sunday, so that's the September 7th, and we're doing it with a twist this time, because what we're doing, it's the R72, so it's 3 days of fasting. You're gonna get 1 day of eating, so you get your refeed in between, and you do 3 days of fasting after that. But what we're going to be doing as well is a parasite cleanse. So when you guys go to sign up, you have the option to get the bundle that has all of the tools for the parasite cleanse as well. And it's a really good opportunity when you pair fasting and proper dietary strategy with the parasite cleanse. You're going to get so much more benefit out of it versus if you're still trying to eat. Maybe you don't know exactly what you should be eating, right? Because if you're trying to kill off the parasites, but you're feeding the parasites, that can be a little confusing for your body, right? So I figured you could use fasting as a tool alongside of different cleanses and things of that nature to help increase your outcomes. And we certainly do see that happen. And I'm really excited about, what we've put together to see how you guys feel and what benefits you get. I'm glad you guys are excited as well. Oh, real quick too with that, I just want you all to know, if you decide to join and you grab one of the packages, people always get kind of like anxious wondering if their packages are going to arrive in time. Obviously, there's always those one-off situations where packages get lost and all that type of stuff. But we don't actually start using the tools in the package until week 2. The first week is just always preparation. So it's not like you got to have your package day 1 Sunday. Okay, we're going to do our introductory day 1, and then on day 2 we're going to start prepping. So you guys will have plenty of time to get your packages if you join later or whatever the case may be. All right, so I see the questions rolling in. Let's see here. Is the feeding one meal or refeed the whole day during the challenge? So with the R72 challenge, you have an option to either refeed throughout the day, or my suggestion is either 1 MAD or OMAD or 2 MAD. So if you do eat throughout the day, I recommend that you all do like raw. So you're not going to like eat what you would traditionally eat. So the dietary strategy is a big part of the R72. And the reason why we did that is because we find most people struggle with eating properly. Fasting is actually a lot easier for most people than eating properly. So instead of just taking you out of your norm and saying, hey, go fast for a week, we want you to have regular touch points with food so that you can start building a better relationship with food. And what I find is when you fast and you come off, it's easier to eat something healthy and feel satiated versus trying to eat healthy, but you're eating processed foods, you're eating all this other stuff as well. And that's why we do it like that. Is dry fasting part of the challenge? No, this challenge does not involve dry fasting. So our dry fasting challenges are the DR challenges, DR 96, DR 48. Those are the dry fasting challenges. We're giving y'all a break on dry fasting for right now. I know a lot of people like dry fasting. You want to talk about weight loss, especially rapid weight loss, dry fasting is a beast. Part of the reason why dry fasting is so good for rapid weight loss is because in addition to the fact that it does still perform similar to water fasting as far as releasing waste and toxicity, it also busts inflammation. Water fasting does as well, but dry fasting does it in spades. So when you're eliminating inflammation at such a high rate, you see the weight come off much more quickly. The other thing too that people like about dry fasting is your digestive system tends to go almost completely to rest when you dry fast. So therefore, you get a lot more energy towards healing, restoration, detoxification, but that also does bring on more intense detox symptoms. So you don't get hunger pangs. However, after 3-4 days of dry fasting, you're going to feel like you've been fasting for, a week or 2 weeks or something. Like it's, so typically people don't dry fast as long as they water fast. It's a more intense fast, but it's very beneficial. Okay, you got the whole package? All right, good. Well, everybody who's ordered so far, all y'all's packages are in the mail. So anybody who's already ordered, your package is already in the mail. How long are the 72-hour cycles? I know they're typically a week-long prep, but after that, how many weeks do we do the R72s? So you have your week of prep, and then you have 3 weeks of cycles. So it's not exactly 30 days. It's about, I think it ends up being like 35 days. So it's like a week of prep and then like 21 days of fasting cycle. What can I do to prolong my fast without cramping in my legs? And can I kill these dang parasites now, or do I have to fast too? All right, so here's the thing. The cramping is likely due to it's either dehydration. It's usually dehydration. It's usually what it is. Obviously, you could have mineral deficiencies as well, if you're dealing with, okay, let's say that you've been practicing hydrating and you're like it's not working. Well, first of all, like, let's understand what hydration is. Okay, so I'll usually just kind of tell you guys, hey, do, half a gallon to a gallon of water a day, and that'll kind of put you in the ballpark. Because I know a lot of people have trouble with the whole gallon of water a day. But if you're just drinking, if you just go to the store and you buy a gallon of water and you just drink that, and that's all you're doing, you're probably not hydrating very well, even if you're drinking a gallon of water. You have to do something extra to your water. So you either need to sun charge your water, you need to infuse it with fruit material. Recently we've been talking about how you could take like a very good Celtic salt, or sea salt, I should say, put it under the tongue, let it dissolve, drink your water like that. All of those things will help you hydrate better. You can also hydrate with fruit, and that would be probably optimal. So you eat your hydration. That makes things very easy and seamless. But that also means you need to upregulate your intake of fruits, your raw fruits. So those are all options for hydrating. So if you're doing that, let's say you've been doing that, and you're like, Chris, I'm still getting the cramps, then now you might be looking at a mineral deficiency. And, there are usually, everybody in their area has a wellness practitioner where you can go in and like have them test you for deficiencies. Or you could possibly even, send blood work. There's a lot of online laboratories and stuff like that, and figure out where you might be deficient. And then you can kind of figure out what you need to be eating in order to, resolve that. But I find that fasting usually works. Now, as far as can you kill the parasites now, part of the challenge, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this challenge is I wanted to educate you all on the role of parasites in the body. Parasites are always looked at as bad, but they have a job to do just like bacteria or anything else in this world. So when you guys ingest heavy metals, and heavy metals aren't naturally processed by the body, the body will excrete them, but not completely. And then you have some people who are what's called non-excretors, where they really don't excrete heavy metals the way that quote unquote normal people do. And so the body will ask parasites to come and help to get rid of the heavy metals, so that they'll eat the metals and then digest them into something the body can eliminate. So parasites aren't just bad, but the way you approach how to eliminate them is very important. And it really needs to be a combination of diet, a very specific protocol. I'm not saying there's only one protocol, but I'm saying you need to understand, because parasites have various their life cycle. They present in different ways depending on where they are in their life cycle, whether they're in the larva or the growth stage or the adult stage. You need different tools to deal with them at different stages. So what we've done is we've put together several tools to make sure that the parasites can be eliminated no matter what part of the life cycle they're in. But then you also have to couple it with proper diet. And also you probably want to work on getting heavy metals out of your system. So, getting a chelator, something that really works well. Obviously, you all know we promote Clean Slate. That's my favorite natural chelator. There's many different ways you could do it. There's different therapies and stuff. You can go and get your blood clean. There's lots of ways you could do it, but you have to understand parasites are there for a reason. They're doing a job. So if you're going to try to get rid of them, you also have to clean up the mess, and you have to stop ingesting it. So it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. And that's why I'm going to be teaching it in the challenge, because I just feel like people don't talk about it, parasites, holistically enough. They're always the bad guy, and that's not the case. How to lose 20 pounds a month with no water fasting or dry fasting. Well, it depends on how much weight you're starting with. So if you've got about 100 pounds to lose, it'll be easier to accomplish this goal versus if you've got, let's say, 60 pounds to lose, right? But that's not to say that you can't do it. Let's plan it somewhere in the middle. Let's say you've got, like 75 pounds you want to lose. And how can you lose 20 pounds in a month? Well, the easiest, there's a couple main things. Number one, you cannot lose weight if you're dehydrated. You can lose weight when you're dehydrated, but it's not going to be the kind of weight you want to lose. Okay, you have to hydrate. No matter what way you want to lose weight, you got to hydrate. So once again, that goes back to what I talked about earlier as far as hydration. I won't rehash that. We just mentioned that. But, a gallon of water a day, I would say at least 90 ounces a day. Do something to your water to make it more hydrating. And then when you're eating, you want to focus on high water content fruits. So apples, oranges, zucchini, tomatoes, anything that has a lot of water content. You could do a simple Google search to find out. That's really where you want to be. Okay. So increase your water, do something special to it to make it more hydrating, eat high water content fruits, cut out all processed foods. When you're not doing any fasting, you're going to have to lean heavy on dietary strategy. You have to cut out the processed foods. And what I mean by that is ketchup, processed food, ranch dressing, processed food, right? We're not just talking about a bag of chips or Oreos or something. Like your condiments. Okay, go into your cabinet and look at the seasonings. Are your seasonings, do you have like seasonal and it's got like all these weird ingredients in it you can't pronounce? I'm talking cut out all of the processed foods. Okay, that's very important. The other thing I would say is, if you're eating meat, you need to increase the quality of the meat. It's very important. If you're going to eat meat, increase the quality. That means find a local organic farmer, get the high wellness rating food from Whole Foods, find a local butcher. You need to go out of your way to get high quality meat, and you got to keep your portion sizes under 6 ounces a day. So you're not going to be eating a ton of meat if you want to, but if you guys want to eat meat during this, then you can, but I don't recommend it. It's going to make it a little harder, but that's how you'd have to approach it. And then I would say, let's say, we have to eliminate breakfast, right? So we're not going to be eating breakfast during this time either. If you need something, you're going to do like fruit juice, smoothie, something like that. So you're eating 2 meals a day, and you're going to eat one meal that's completely raw. That's the other. If you do that, you increase your water, you make it more hydrating, you focus on high water content fruits and vegetables, you cut out the processed foods, you increase the quality of the meat, stay away from dairy, you skip breakfast, or if you need some fruit juice or a smoothie, something like that, less than 6 ounces of meat a day, then you'll lose weight. You'll lose to 20 pounds. You could also, especially if you're backed up, obviously everything I'm telling you is going to help to kind of release your bowels, but you could do like a castor pack or something, or even enemas if you really want to nail it home. And you could still drop 20 pounds or more. Fasting is like the easy way out, honestly, which sounds crazy. Like when we do our fasting challenges and stuff, the only challenge we do where it's like super long fasting is a 21-day fast. All the other challenges, you're just fasting for, 3-4 days, maybe. If it's our fasting blitz, you might do 5 days. But even over the course of a month, you're not fasting like all month long. You get regular breaks and you're able to eat. And people regularly lose 30 to 35 pounds during our challenges. So you can get very similar results with proper eating and dietary. And you got to learn that stuff anyway, because when you start refeeding, one of the issues that people have with, you lose all this weight fasting and then you don't refeed properly and then you hurt yourself. And that's like the worst thing. You don't want to do that. I've probably said this a couple of times. The refeed is almost more important than the fast itself. They're equally important. If the refeed is very important, and most people skip that part. They're like, oh, here's what y'all do. Here's what I see. You plan, okay, I'm gonna do a fast. All right, next week I'm gonna do my fast, right? So I'm gonna start my fast on Monday. You do no preparation. Not only do you not do any preparation on Sunday night, since you're starting your fast Monday, you're pigging out. You're going to the Chinese buffet, you're going pizza, you're doing wings, you're pigging out. It's like a last meal, right? Then you start your fast and it's awful. It's a really difficult experience because you didn't prep. But let's say you've got great willpower and you power through it. Well, guess what? The same mentality you started with, you're going to end with. So when you finish, you're going to be like, man, I just did that. Man, I knocked out them 5 days, 7 days, whatever. I'm going to celebrate. And you go and you eat something terrible for your body, and the body hyper responds, and you wonder why you're not getting results you want. So refeed's super important. Can I buy the tea separate? Yes, you got the option to buy the tea separate. Go to ahealthyalternative.org and go to the shop, and you can buy the tea separately there. If you guys join the challenge, you can either, like, I don't know what combination you want, but you know, if there's a kit that has everything you want but is missing a tea, you can go and pick it up, you know, at the shop, or you can add it on when you check out at the challenge. I've been doing the 5-2 protocol with a twist. I do 5 days dry, 2-day refeed. Do you think I should add more refeed days? I want to start back doing this. I lost 50 pounds in 3 weeks doing this in July. Yeah, so thanks for sharing that. I'm sure some people just got really excited reading your comment. You know, when it comes to the dry fasting, my major concern is just that you guys refeed properly. The duration of the refeed isn't as important as if you do it the right way. So if you're doing a 5-2 protocol and you're breaking your dry fast with water, like I tell you, it's fine. You know, if you dry fast for 5 days, you have to hydrate for a day, period. You're not eating on day 1 of your refeed. You know, you could do maybe like a broth. So I would say start with water, right? You come off your dry fast, start with water, or maybe even like fruit juice, you know, like fresh pressed, natural, something that doesn't have a ton of sugar content, and then maybe like broth later in the evening, something you make from scratch, homemade, you know, light, very lightly seasoned. You don't want a whole bunch of salt in there. Body will hyper respond. And then on day 2, you could do like your fruit, your raw fruit. And that's as far as I would go with it. So fruit juice, water, maybe tea on day 1. And then, you know, you can eat lots of fruit on day 2, like high water content, and then you go back into it. But no cooked food on your refeed days, and make sure that first day is only water. And then you could do it and you don't have to worry about anything. But that 50 pounds in 3 weeks goes hard. Congratulations on that one. Sorry, I didn't even read it. I just clicked it. Here we go. Does dry fasting constipate you? No. No fasting method causes constipation. Okay, I want to say that. The fasting methods don't cause constipation. What you're seeing, it's more of like a perception thing. What you'll see is that your bowels will slow when you fast. And, you know, doesn't really matter what kind of fast, unless you're doing juice fasting. Juice fasting, when you're using acidic fruit juice, it usually will keep your bowels moving. But water fasting and dry fasting, you're going to see your bowels slow. And the reason why is because you already are constipated, okay? It's not the fast doing it. It's just simply the fact that the fasting highlights deficiencies and it highlights issues. So you're becoming aware of it. I want you to think of it like when you have a tube of toothpaste, right? So when you apply pressure to the bottom of that tube of toothpaste, it forces the toothpaste out the top. Well, when you eat, you're applying pressure on your system and it's forcing fecal matter out of you versus it naturally flowing out. So that's why you guys might see a dramatic difference in how your bowels move. Also, people don't eliminate completely. It's very rare. So you could be having bowel movements every day, but you're not actually eliminating completely. And so, you're going to pick up on all of these issues when you start fasting and paying attention to your body, but it doesn't cause it. Now, obviously, if you get uncomfortable or something like that, hey, do an enema or schedule a colonic. Those are great to do. Just don't get addicted to them. They're not there for you to just abuse. It's a tool to use while you're detoxing. But the goal is really to get the body to function properly so you're having regular bowel movements and you eliminate completely. Is the parasite cleanse for someone on blood thinners? I will do some double checking. If I'm not a doctor, y'all. So I don't prescribe or anything of that nature. You guys will always have to check, people, the amount of different types of medications that are out there is insane. There's a medication for the medications. Okay. So, and when you're dealing with that mainstream system, it creates complexities that should never exist. You never know how things are going to react. But we haven't had any issues. The parasite tea itself is not new. We haven't had any issues with that, with any type of medications or anything like that. But all the other tools, let's see here. None of the other tools should have any poor reaction. There's a few different tools in the bundle. I'm not 100% sure about the tea, but everything else should be fine. But we've used the tea before. We've never had issues. So that's just something to check up on. If you go to healthyalternative.org, you can see the ingredients for the tea, and you could just compare it to whatever type of medication you're taking to see if there's an issue there. But look, my thing is this. The question is, do you want to be on blood thinners? Like, if your goal is to get off of blood thinners, then at some point you got to stop taking them, and you have to come up with a strategy to be healthy and improve your body, so that, because the body will naturally increase the viscosity of the blood. Like, if you clean the blood, if you detox the blood, the body will naturally, quote unquote, thin it out. So you don't need the thinners. Everyone's situation is different, though. Do you think these scales that measure biometrics are accurate or BS? Well, obviously, you have to look into the research of this. Like, you have to look into the studies and the information that's being presented by the scale. You can't just simply go off of like the marketing. You got to look at the papers and the documentation and the studies that they've done in order to understand when they say XYZ, what does that actually mean? So holistically, I'm sure there's a lot of scales that aren't as accurate as they proclaim to be, and they use a lot of marketing. Okay, just for example, like with that drink Simply, well, I think the brand is called Simply Organic or something like that. But like, the Simply Lemonade and, all those the line of Simply juices or whatever. If you just pay attention to the bottle, you might just think, oh, this is like a really healthy product. But it's like, no, it's just the name of the company. So you've always got to watch out for marketing. The scale that we promote is known to be, or their claim to fame is that they have the most accurate scale on the market. Like, that was their goal, to make an accurate scale. These scales, the equipment, in order to keep the price of the scales reasonable, these aren't the most accurate scales. But out of the scales, you can, you want to get the most accurate scales out of the scales without spending literally $500 to $1,000 for a machine. Then, these are the options. I'll see if I could pull up the link real quick for it, because it is one of our affiliate partners. It's the scale that I personally use. I find it to be very accurate. And we've, a lot of people have used them. in our challenges and stuff like that. And it's the body pod is the new one, or the newer version, and it's really good in my opinion. It's just fun to watch your weight kind of like through the app and everything like that. I don't know where this affiliate link is. I'll find it. But sometimes they are BS, like for sure. You just got to do your due diligence on that one. Okay. Can you drink LMNT? Well, I don't know what that is. Oh, testimonial. Fasting healed everything in your body, including low thyroid. Yeah, a lot of people, they think that the thyroid, when you have like, let's say it's a hyper or hypo, you think, oh, something's wrong with the thyroid. Let me just say this like more of as a blanket statement. There's never anything necessarily wrong with your body. Your organs, your liver, everything functions properly. It's not that your organs and your organs are failing you. What's happening is your body is overrun by toxins. It's never been cleaned. It's never been maintenance, or it's not been maintenance properly. So over time, the body starts to break down. That's all that is. But as far as like your organs failing you or anything of that nature. So, and the reason why I'm pointing that out is because that means you can revitalize your liver. You can revitalize your organs, your kidneys. You can revitalize them because they're not broken. Now, if you get surgery and you have stuff removed, there's nothing I could do about that for right now. I do believe that the body can regrow more than just the liver. I've heard these quote unquote freak stories where, people have had, man, I think I heard a story where a woman had like a double hysterectomy or had her womb removed or something and was able to have a baby. Like, I don't remember, but I've heard crazy stories. I think the body's capable of doing some amazing things, obviously, if it's given the right environment, which, we live in a very toxic environment. So, all right, I think I got this link for y'all. Let me see, make sure it's got the code on there. Affiliate link. Okay, wait a minute. Yeah, let's try this one. All right, so I got the link and I got a code, a discount code. If you guys want to grab one of these scales, you can. If you joined the challenge, we usually have the scales in the they're in the document, the PDF document. Let's see what else we got here. Can I take Diatomaceous Earth with the detox teas? The detox teas? What detox teas are you referring to? I mean, if you're talking about one of our teas, are you talking about the parasite tea? I'm not sure, because like we're already the parasite tea is already pairing with the Diatomaceous Earth. Can you do 21-day fast with only water? Yes, that's how we usually do our 21 days. Oh, yeah. Join the challenge, y'all. Come on now. What are some good raw vegetables to eat on refeed for the 5-2 fast? I mean, look, when you say raw vegetables, all right, let me clear something up. So I'm not a huge fan of vegetables. Okay, I'm not a huge fan of vegetables. It's very important that you guys pay attention to what is a fruit, what is a vegetable. Fruits are the ovaries of a plant. So like um, when you have zucchini, for example, or avocado, or tomato, these things are considered to be vegetables, but they're actually fruits. Anything with a seed. 1 second, y'all. Anything that has a seed is going to be a fruit. So I would encourage you guys to eat fruits, not vegetables, like when you're eating raw. And the reason why is because, like, if let's say you're eating raw broccoli or eating raw kale, these things, these very fibrous things, they're hard to digest. That's kind of working against us. I would say you want to steam that. If you want to have like kale and all that, steam it first, or at the very least, prepare it in a way where you kind of soften it up a little bit first. Put it in some water, lemon juice, something like that, soften it up, and then you can, have it like that. How can I participate in the R72 starting September 7th if I must consume food with medication I take? I don't know. One of the things I tell you all, you can't serve two masters. I don't know how you're going to fast and take medication where you require food. I don't think that's possible. So you have to make a choice. Do you want to be on the medications or do you want to get off the medications? There's always been a period of time where you were on the medications or I'm saying you were quote unquote sick and you weren't on the medication, right? Like there was a period of time where you were sick and you didn't know you needed the medication, and then you got the medication, and then you were told you had to take the medication, but you were living and there was a period of time where you were sick, you had the same illness, and you didn't have the medication. Or there may be a period of time where you're taking the medication, but you miss a day or you miss 2 days, or your prescription runs out because you don't have the money. I don't know, right? Like when it comes to medications, people tend to feel as though, like, I'm on YouTube, man. I'm not trying to get canceled, but y'all know what I'm saying. Like you are led to believe if you don't take this medication, you're gonna die. And I don't know. There are some medications that are like, pretty harmful, and if you get off of them too fast, they can cause a problem. So, that's a choice you have to make. There's been plenty of people who are on medications and they decide not to use them while they're fasting. If you want our help, we can help you figure out alternatives. Like there's a lot of essential oils that you could use in place of medications. So, but if that question that doesn't leave much wiggle room, it's like, how can you do the fast if you have to eat and take medications? Well, you can't fast and eat. See what I'm saying? So if you want to do some type of alternative and you want to do, I don't know how frequently you got to take these medications. You want to do 1 meal a day, and you do 1 meal a day, you take your medications and you fast the rest of the day. That's also an option. I know sometimes people are on hormone replacement, things of that nature that you can't just stop taking. So, but the goal would still be to wean off eventually, but you have to focus on healing, and you have to give your body time to adjust. And it's kind of like a work in progress process. It looks like I've double booked myself, y'all, tonight. Let me see. I had a Pam call tonight, apparently, and it's not on my schedule, which I don't know why it isn't, because I could have sworn I just went through. So I'm going to see if I can invite our Pam family to just come join me here. so I don't have to end the call. But I'm not sure how that's all going to work out. Give me 1 second, y'all. Where's the link for this thing? You guys got some good questions. I'm gonna do my best to get through the majority of your questions. I'm not gonna promise to get through all of them, but what I'll say is, I put out a post earlier today where, like, I appreciate y'all's interaction. I appreciate y'all's questions. I appreciate, y'all challenge and pushing me to learn more and grow. I'm really thankful for the opportunity to be able to kind of do what I love and what I'm passionate about, which is helping people through their health and wellness. And one thing that I'll say that what I would like to see more of is I would like to see you all be able to I really want you to apply the information that you're learning. And use the resources that you have available to you, because I feel like sometimes we half do things and it's not beneficial, So, if you guys really want to move forward, if you've been going back and forth and not getting results and stuff like that, but I really want you guys to start applying and get those results. Okay. Trying to take care of these Pam people, man. I don't know how in the world it wasn't on my schedule to do Pam tonight. Give me 1 more second. Make 1 more post in here. Sorry for the delay. All right. So hopefully they will come on over. Let's get back to these questions. What's your take on fruitarian? Can you get all the nutrients you need? Honestly, when it comes to the fruitarian diet, you don't really need. Our nutrition is not. It doesn't truly come from the food we eat as much as we think. Our bodies are in such disarray that we rely on outside sources, but you don't really need a lot of nutrition from food. As a matter of fact, a well-working body, you only need a thimble-sized amount of nutrition for the entire year. You get your nutrition from the sun. You get your nutrition and minerals from the water. And so, whether you're doing fruitarian or whether you're doing carnivore, you see people with deficiencies. Yeah, the diet doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to have deficiencies. I mean, pretty much everybody has deficiencies, no matter what diet they're on. So it's not the food. It's got to be something deeper. We don't have. Our body doesn't absorb nutrition well. So even when you are eating the right things, we're not getting nutrition like we should. And then we're not out in the sun. Vitamin D, or the hormone vitamin D, is very important. It's very important for nutrition. Okay. I would say, to answer your question, yes, fruitarians can get the nutrition they need. I'll also say, where you see issues with different diets, people having issues, it's not necessarily the diet a lot of times. It is the it's it's where you are. It's where you are in your health. Your body's not always going to respond well to every change you make. Sometimes you got to transition. Sometimes you got to give your body a chance to like, for example, if you're used to eating processed foods and you have the bacteria that's designed to break down Snickers, it might not break down broccoli very well. You know, like, you can starve your bacteria. The bacteria needs to be diverse. So it's really important to give the body the proper nutrition, and nurture the bacteria, and give it time to adjust so that it can digest healthy foods. So if you're used to eating trash, you can eat trash, and it's like your body digests it better than healthy stuff is. Doesn't mean the trash is good. It's just like what you've trained your body to do, if that makes sense. I don't know what this electrolyte drink is, so I can't answer that question for you. But thank you for following up on that. I'm not familiar with it. You guys know I'm not a big fan of electrolyte drinks. You know, like, here's what I'll say: if you have a supplement that is a whole food, it's a whole food supplement. There's nothing weird or extra in it. Then okay, I guess. But as far as, like, do you need this product for fasting? You don't need it. So I don't know. I guess it depends on, like, oh, I just saw the comment underneath. That's hilarious. I guess it depends on why you want to drink it, but, like, if you're gonna take this, then you might as well just make some infused water. Like, literally just get you some lemon or some strawberry or cucumber, cut them up, and then let it steep for 4 hours, and drink that. Like, it's just so much better. So, shout out to MC Jack. Is there an ideal time to do an enema? Ideal time. I've never really thought about an ideal time. It's usually more of a convenience thing. But if you can basically do whatever you want, whenever you want, let's see here. In the morning would probably be pretty ideal, Yeah, in the morning. The body naturally wants to eliminate in the morning. So I guess that I would say would be ideal, but I've never really I don't know how much better that's going to be than doing it in the evening. Would you advise I join the challenge? I do take blood pressure medication. Well, if you want to get rid of blood pressure medication, then you might want to join the challenge. Blood pressure is one of the things that regulates very quickly. So I guess it depends on what your goal is. Sometimes, look, and I don't know if y'all realize, like, some of y'all are probably sitting there listening and like, man, Chris, why you always say, like, what's your goal? Everybody wants to get off medication. No, they don't. Everybody doesn't want to get off medication. Some people, in order to get off medication, sometimes you're required to do things you don't want to do. And some people choose not to do those things. So if you are on medication and you don't want to do what's required to get off the medication, that equates to you don't want to get off the medication. Sometimes people are willing to maintain their lifestyle because they want to eat a certain thing or do a certain thing. And for them, the trade-off is worth it. I'd rather take this medication and still be able to eat my whatever. So that's the reason why I say that. You know, I don't want to be dismissive and assume, yeah, me, I would want to get off medications, but everybody doesn't. I've met plenty of people that are like, I'll do this and this, but the other thing I'm not doing, right? And so they get a little bit of benefit because they're willing to do some things. But yeah, I would highly recommend it. It's great for, you know, getting off medication. Do you lose weight faster with 21 day or R72? That's a good question. Okay, here's the thing. The R72 is a specific protocol. We have our challenges and stuff, and we teach you guys to do things a specific way. If you do it the way that we outline, you're going to lose weight at a comparable rate. It's going to be comparable. If you do your own thing, results may vary. If you're not eating the way we outline, results may vary. Now, maybe a better question would be like, which one will produce more benefit, the 21 day or the R72? That's a question I can answer. That's the 21 day. The 21 day fast is going to produce more benefit. If we just boil it down to strictly weight loss, you can get similar weight loss with both. I'll say one major difference between the 21 day and the R72. With the 21 day, you're going to experience the fasting shrink week, which is a very, very powerful time. So the fasting shrink week is a 7-day period of time where you're going to lose little to no weight, or you may even gain half a pound or a pound back. But the body does incredible shrinking and tightening during that time. So inevitably, people always ask me, well, Chris, if I don't do the 21 day fast, will my body shrink and tighten? Yes. But your body experiences what I call hyper autophagy during that 7-day period of time, and you see some really incredible results. Also, if outside of weight loss or even just, you know, physical benefits, you're looking for spiritual health and well-being, you're looking for emotional detoxification, those things happen on longer fasts. So you still get essence, a piece of it on your shorter fast, your R72 and stuff like that, but they're not that fasting challenge isn't designed specifically for those things. So holistically, the 21 day is going to be better. Weight loss is going to be comparable if you guys do it, if you do it the way we teach it. No, you can't out exercise a bad habit. Yeah, I mean, if the doctors have you scared to get off your medications, you just need to think about your interaction. Like, here's the thing: if you guys are that nervous about your medications and stuff, then don't do complete fasts. You know, well, you could do two different things. You could go the essential oils route, where you can, you know, depending on which whether it's cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar, or whatever, you can find an essential oil that's going to support you in a similar way that the medication will. And remember, the essential oils, they don't have the side effects that you get with the medication. So you're still getting the same level of support, and maybe it's something you need to test to feel comfortable with. A lot of you all have different monitors. You monitor yourself. So you just need to do it, and then you monitor yourself and you see how your body responds, and then based on that, you might feel more comfortable. The other thing you could do, when we do our fasting challenges, we do tell you guys, hey, you can always do an alternative fast if you want, if you feel more comfortable, because I don't want you guys doing anything you don't feel comfortable doing. I do want to push you a little bit. I want to make sure that you're willing to put yourself out there, but I don't want to make you feel like, I don't want you to be scared or nervous. So I would highly recommend that if you got to take you feel like I got to take my medication, do a 1 meal a day. And then during that meal, it doesn't need to be anything crazy. Like literally, you just have to have something on your stomach. You either got to have something on your stomach in order to activate the medicine, or you got to have something on your stomach because if you don't, it'll make you feel sick. A lot of times, the reason they tell you got to eat with it is because it'll make you sick if you don't. And then you have to wonder, well, why does my medication, something that's good for me and something that's helping me, why does it make me feel sick if I don't cover it up by the digestive process? That was the question that I had. If something is good and healthy for me, why do I have to eat with it? If something's designed in a way where my body can assimilate it, why would I need to eat to activate my digestive system to properly assimilate it? Right? That's the reason why I tell you guys, if you're going to take medication or if you're going to take vitamins and stuff, you want to be whole vitamins, because sometimes they'll tell you eat your vitamins with food as well. But if your vitamins are food, then you're kind of, that kind of makes sense to me. And I know some herbs and things they'll tell you to take with food, but it's really to understand like why. What's the reasoning behind it? Why do I take it with food? And by understanding the reasoning behind it, you can kind of discern. You can discern like, is this thing healthy for me? Is it not healthy for me? Like, are we trying to cover something up? What's going on? I'm not exactly sure what this, are you referring to, were you in the DR48 Advanced Challenge where we did the contest and we had the accountability posts and stuff like that? Is that what you're referring to? But if that's what you're asking, no, we don't have the contest running on this one. But as far as accountability goes, there's always accountability. That's a part of every challenge. We always encourage you all to post. The reason why I did that contest and stuff like that in the DR48 Advanced is because people often won't post. They won't talk about what they're going through. Like, we have tons of comments, don't get me wrong, but for the amount of people that join and do a challenge, the activity isn't equivalent. Even though we have lots of activity, it's just like I look at the numbers differently. And so I did that to encourage, but yeah, post for accountability, post for when things aren't going well, especially. I think posting when things aren't going well is more important than posting when things are going well. We want to hear both, but when you're down, whatever you're just not having a good day and not having a good time, you want to post because that's where you'll get support. Don't run from the group during that time. That's the worst thing you could do. Be vulnerable and you'll get better outcomes. And I'll also say, and I mentioned this earlier, like there's a lot of tools, things we suggest that people don't take advantage of. They don't do. Journaling is a great tool for accountability. Personal accountability is extremely important as well. Now, I like challenges because challenges allow you to be accountable to someone other than yourself. It's harder to lie to someone else. If you say, hey, if you in your head, you're like, hey, next week I'm gonna start fasting on Monday, and you don't do it, the only person you got to be accountable to is yourself. So you can lie to yourself. It's easy. If you tell a group of friends, hey, I'm fasting on Monday, and you don't, now you feel a little shame. And that shame can motivate you to either do it or at least let them know a good reason why you're not, So I understand that being accountable to others is more powerful, but if you can build and you can learn to be accountable to yourself, you'll actually create a better relationship. Your body will start to trust you more. You'll get better outcomes. And then, of course, it's always good to be a self-starter if you can. Like, it's good to be able to do things to a degree on your own, like to a degree. It's important to, when you fast and do all this type of stuff, I think it's important to do it in groups. I think it's important to do it with like-minded people. It makes it easier. And the reason I say that is because in the real world, most people aren't fasting. So if you're the only one fasting in your environment, you're going to get a lot of pressure from outside people telling you what you're doing is stupid or it's unhealthy or whatever. So when you are in a group of like-minded people supporting your thoughts and ideas, it helps you to kind of like feel confident in what you're doing when other people are telling you you're going to hurt yourself. Oh, shout out. I hope you made it over here from the Pam. For anybody who came over from Pam, my sincerest apologies. I literally, before I started this live stream, I checked my calendar to make sure I wasn't on Pam, because I put Pam on my personal calendar and it wasn't on there. And so I'm gonna have to figure out what happened. But yeah, I would have never did this live stream had I known, but then I was already into the live stream. I'm like, well, come on, have the Pam people come over here and we'll do the call together as a family. But I'll get you guys another Pam call. Can fruit juice and or whole fruit reverse estrogen, progesterone stage 1 breast cancer, since cancer feeds on sugar? So most cancer coaches are going to tell you don't take in any sugar at all when you're dealing with cancer. I'm not necessarily against that advice per se. I think it makes things a little bit more difficult sometimes when you take that approach, but it's not necessarily wrong per se. If you guys followed the story, Daniel's story, who, has cancer. I don't think he really technically has it anymore, but had cancer. I allowed him to do fruit, watermelon, cantaloupe, grapes, So, I mean, who you work with matters. And I think that you should follow the advice of the practitioner that's coaching you or helping you. I personally haven't found it to be an issue. Now, stage 4, maybe I would say don't eat the fruit just because it might give you that little extra edge just because of how far you've progressed. And so I might agree with it, because it's stage 4. But in general, fruit sugar is demonized when it shouldn't be. So there's different ways to approach things. Certain types of fruits, like your berries, are going to have sugar, but they're also going to give you so much benefit that it may not make sense to just avoid them altogether. Blueberries and stuff, or even low glycemic fruits. But there's nothing wrong with just doing your greens first, improve your condition to a certain point, and then you can start having fruit. It's just one of those things where you got to speak to somebody kind of one-on-one, look at what you have going on. What kind of, do you have issues with certain types of fruits or foods, and just kind of get that one-on-one support. But here's what I'll say. When we talk about fruit, typically people are talking about sweet fruits. As I explained earlier, all fruits are not sweet. There's plenty of low glycemic fruits. Just lean on the low. If you want to play it on the safe side, just lean on the low glycemic fruits. That's it. But fruit is very important for healing. Now, which the other part is like the estrogen. You want to make sure that you look at the products and the stuff you're coming in contact. Look at your consumption holistically and eliminate the things that have artificial estrogen in it as much as possible. to allow the body to naturally balance. It's very important that you don't just look at what you eat and you don't just look at your detox process. You want to look at what are you consuming holistically? Like, what are you wearing? What are your bed sheets made out of? What are your shoes made out of? People don't understand this. Your shoe, your feet, your soles are a gateway. They are a gateway. The body absorbs very readily from the soles of your feet. This is the reason why grounding is so powerful, but you got to understand there's the benefit and there's the bad part, right? Like you don't want to stand in a puddle of toxic water barefoot. Your body will very readily absorb it. The same way that your body will very readily absorb the negative ions from the earth. So footwear is very important. Like what do you put on your feet? Grounding is very important. Cleansing the feet. Like all that stuff is very important. And I don't think people really understand. Like the skin will absorb very easily. I know I'm like so behind on questions. Let's see. How about eating a small meal with medication, and fasting the rest of the day? Is that an option? Yep, I mentioned that earlier. You could do that. So it's one meal a day. I mean, the meal doesn't have to be a meal, right? Like not like a meal. You could do a smoothie. Like if you're gonna do it, especially if you have to do it multiple times a day, do a smoothie. That way you're getting something that's easy for the body to digest. It's not throwing you off track. But the point that I was trying to make earlier was I want you all to understand that your goal is not to manage fasting and medications. Your goal, I would encourage your goal to be to get rid of the medication. It is possible. You can do it, But yes, that's an option. What about the help for trying to get others around you not to notice the foods are killing them? Like ways to cope with that. I'm not sure I understand your question. Are you asking if you have people around you, you're learning about different foods and things of that nature, and they're not interested in learning, or they're not in, like when I very first started researching, one of the very first foods I got rid of, this is before AHA. One of the very first foods I got rid of was hot dogs. That was years ago. I stopped eating hot dogs probably like 15 years ago, way before AHA. And the reason why is because I had started doing a little research, and I found out how hot dogs were made. I just found out how they were made. Like, have y'all ever researched how hot dogs were made? And so anyway, like I'm learning this, and I'm like, bro, hot dogs they're absolutely filthy. They're so disgusting. And I'm trying to tell coworkers, and because like I've always been very outspoken, I'm learning stuff, and I literally would have people, I would have people stop me, and be like, "Hey, Chris, don't tell me." And I had to learn that everybody doesn't want to be saved. Everybody doesn't care. And it kind of goes back earlier, I was saying about the medication. Everybody doesn't want to get off the medication. Everybody doesn't care about their health. Some people just like the way hot dogs taste, So what I had to do was I had to learn how to not care more than they did, even if they're loved ones. Because at the end of the day, I'm stressing myself out. I don't feel good. Like it was bothering me. And I'm like, when I very first learned how to help the body heal, one of the first thoughts I had was I could have saved my stepmom. My stepmom passed when I was like in my early 20s. I don't exactly know what she had going on, because we didn't have the best relationship. We weren't like super close. So I really didn't ask questions. I think maybe she had cancer or something like that. But I never really asked questions, to be honest. But even still, we didn't have the greatest relationship. I would have never wanted her to pass early. And she was one of the first people, her and of course my uncle, who also passed from cancer. And the first thing I said was, I wish I knew this information sooner so I could have helped them. And what I started learning as I started working with people was that I couldn't have saved them. I couldn't have saved them even if I had the information, because they had to want to save themselves. They had to be willing to do it. My uncle, my grandmother, who was the one who really inspired me to become what I am today through her own actions and her own knowledge, she worked with my uncle. She told my uncle what to do. I didn't have the knowledge, but she was already, decades ahead of me. She had it. He wouldn't listen. He would do some of what she said, but he also did what the doctors told him to do. And the treatment ultimately claimed his life. So you just got to learn how to be good with the fact that everybody's not going to take this trip with you. Sometimes you got to change the people around you. They say if you can't change the people around you, change the people around you. If that's not a possibility, then the best thing you could do is be a shining light and be an example. That's the best thing you could do. And eventually, when things get bad enough, they'll come and ask you for help. They'll come and ask you, what's your advice for this? What's your advice for that? Because they've seen you be consistent. So that's like the best thing you could do. I don't know if that answered your question, because I'm not really sure what your question. I wasn't really clear on it. If you are unable to exercise due to a disability, are you still able to lose weight? Yeah, of course. Of course. You guys very rarely hear me talk about exercise and weight loss. So when it comes to weight loss, your dietary strategy is probably going to reign supreme. What you eat is probably going to make the biggest impact. Fasting is a tool you can use to help accelerate your weight loss. But if you're not eating well, you're going to put the weight back on. And so therefore, it's kind of a neutralizing point there. So the diet is the most important thing. You're talking like 95% is diet. Now, where exercise comes in, and maybe for you, if you're dealing with a disability now, maybe through fasting, you can improve your condition where you can do some type of exercise. But exercise is really for just movement. It's just for movement. Your lymphatic system has to move, especially when you're detoxing. So I don't know what your situation is. I don't know what you can and can't do, but just do the most you can without putting, enormous stress on yourself. But if you can't move at all, like if you're in a position where you can't do, yeah, you can still lose weight. You can still improve your health through proper hydration, through proper dietary strategy. And then as you start to improve, then you can start the movement. I assume fasting is good for arthritis. Yes, it is. Good assumption. It's very good for arthritis. Arthritis is just joint inflammation. I told you guys earlier, I don't know if you were on earlier when I was talking about it, but dry fasting is an inflammation buster. It's great for, inflammation. I'm gonna answer this question, but man, y'all kill me with these retreats. Like, y'all look, and listen, this is not a jab at you personally, okay? This is holistically, all right? Don't take this personal. I don't mean this towards you at all, because I ain't never seen you ask about the retreat, but we'll do a retreat. The last retreat we did was September of last year, I think it was. And I was promoting the retreat probably around this time last year, and y'all were already telling me how you weren't going to make it and when was the next one, So the next retreat is going to be, it'll be next year. I decided not to do a retreat this year. So this is the first year we took off from doing a retreat. And the reason why is more for personal reasons. I personally just simply could not take the stress to plan the retreat this year. The retreats are very stressful for me to put together. In order to make sure that you guys have what I would try to say is a seamless experience, which is not always, but I think everybody usually has good experiences. It's very stressful. There's a lot. I don't have like a team of people that put these retreats together. It's usually me and Coach Shell do the majority of the planning for the retreats. And so with in my personal life this year has been very, very challenging. And it just didn't make sense. We don't make a ton of money off the retreats. We don't do it for the money. I've always tried to make the retreats as affordable as possible so people can come. And that's another issue. Why? Because if I charge more, I could probably hire a team and it could be more stress-free. And that's probably going to happen in the future. But I wanted to give people an opportunity to come and join and experience it and make things affordable. But it's the combination of trying to make things affordable, don't really got a team, can't pay nobody, got to do it myself, having a lot of personal growth. And so I said, no retreat this year. So next year, I think my plan for it is to do, I want to do like a destination deal, but I don't have any details on it yet. Do I have a fasting regimen for athletes trying to lose body fat and weight effectively? Well, I guess it depends on how much weight you want to lose, you know, how much body fat you're trying to lose. Are there timelines involved in this too? If you're an athlete, are there times when you're performing, you know what I mean? Or do you just have an athletic build and you like to be active, you know? But generally speaking, I would say intermittent fasting is probably your best tool, generally speaking. You can push it a little bit. If you want to lose a little bit more weight, you can push it. I would say keep your fast 48 hours or less. If you do a preparation week, if you prepare some juice to supplement with, then you can easily do 48-hour fast while still exercising. But you just got to create a transition for yourself. Your body needs to acclimatize to fasting and exercise, which it will do, you know? So there's different questions I would ask to kind of like, you know, key in something like personal for you. But if there's no specific timeline, I would say give yourself a week to prep, then give yourself another week where you fast for like, you know, a day, maybe 24 hours at a time, and you work out regularly. And then after that 2-week period, then I would say you could push to like 48 hours. And the reason I say 48 hours too, especially as an athlete, you want the benefits that come along with the human growth hormone. The human growth hormone kind of tops out around 48 hours on the low end. So you could get a lot of benefit from a 48-hour fast for muscle development and things of that nature. And then because you're not fasting for too long of a duration, you're able to kind of push yourself at the gym. And after doing that for a week or two, you might find that you could do 3 days and you're not. Like, the body will start to adjust. But it really just depends on you, your level of dedication to the process. You know, if you're, I know sometimes when it comes to like athletes and people who like to go to the gym, there's this concept of cheat days, you know, and I'm not putting that on you. I'm just saying I know that's a thing. Like the cheat day mentality wouldn't play well when you're trying to do fasting and adapt your body, because then you'll anytime you have your quote unquote cheat day, your body will start to hyper respond because you've been doing so well and eating so clean. Remember, when you fast, you're not just losing weight. You're not just detoxing. In order for the body to detox, it has to lower its defenses. Okay. So when you eat toxic food, the body slowly adapts and it creates these defense, these boundaries so that you don't basically so you don't really hurt yourself. The body can slow the absorption of the chemicals in your system so that you can maintain the best environment possible based on what you're consuming. When you start fasting, the body has to let those defenses down in order to release the toxicity. So now you're kind of left unguarded. And then if you go to like a cheat day or you whatever, you know, like then the body kind of gets hit full force because it doesn't have its defenses up. That's something that it builds up over time. And that's where you'll see the body, you know, hyper respond. You get a ton of inflammation in just a couple of days or something like that. Or you start getting really bad organ discomfort. So that's just something to look out for. But I would say you could do, like I said, a week of prep. You could do intermittent fasting while you do the week of prep. Then you could do like 24-hour fasting. You should be able to work out fine at the gym. And then by week 3, you could do two days of fasting. I would just have some fresh juice always ready just in case you need it, and push as hard as you want at the gym and see how your body responds. So that's kind of how you approach that. I did the 21-day fast, or tried. I stopped at day 16. My period came back on after 15 months of not having it. Is that a positive sign of prolonged fast? I'm Gen X range. Trying to think Gen X. You know, like I get so confused with this generation. I know Gen X, like, because when you say Gen, I was told I was Generation X. I literally was told, and then they changed it and said that I was a millennial or something. Like, I don't remember. So I get confused, but assuming that you're my age or older, obviously there's an idea of, you know, becoming premenopausal and things of that nature. And I don't know if that's where you're going with it, but, and I don't know how deep I want to get into it right now, because we're kind of getting to the end of the night right now. But I would say, generally speaking, that's a good sign. I would say think about what your cycle is anyway, right? The female cycle is designed to cleanse the body. So cleansing is always a good sign. And it really does speak to the health of the body. Now, how should I say this? So obviously your cycle is going to change based on the health of your body. So there are a subset of women who have cycles, but they're so light, it's like they don't have a cycle. That's a really healthy system. You also see with like younger girls that are like athletes, you'll see that they lose their cycle, or even older women who are very active, they won't have a cycle. But if you know you're unhealthy, you're not really active like that, right? You just, maybe you eat the standard American diet and you lose your cycle, then that's where I'm talking about, where, yeah, you get it back. Now your body is working, it's detoxing, all that stuff's not building up in your system, because a lot of hormonal balance comes from, you know, that process of when women go through the menopause, and they don't have that natural balancing you get every month. You know, and you're putting all of this artificial hormones and stuff in your system, yeah, it causes lots of problems. So I would certainly say it's good, man. Obviously, you know, not having a cycle, I'm sure, is a good thing. As far as like, I know most women don't like their cycle, but it's there to do a job, and it helps keep you guys balanced and regulated and healthy. And so I think the goal is to make your cycle shorter and lighter. But you could do that through proper nutrition. Fasting will help do that. What's the lady's name? Jessie Lee, I think. Thomas? Jessie Lee Peterson? Something, Jessie Lee. The Detox Now lady. If you guys want to learn about cycles and how women's cycles really should present, you should talk to her. You should go follow her. Jessie, I think it's Jessie Lee. But if you go to the Detox Now, I'm pretty sure the company still exists, because, you know, a lot of times, even though I know the information, I know a lot of women, they don't like to hear it from me. They don't like to hear about their periods from a man, you know, which I do find interesting, because most men are the ones that are writing the textbooks that the doctors are studying, that are, you know, whatever, but They don't want to hear Chris talk about it. That's fine. You know, so that's a woman that you could go and listen to, and she'll tell you everything. She'll tell you what I'm telling you. I got some tips for you how to get good sleep while fasting. Well, I'm going to tell you this, first of all. Not being able to sleep while fasting is kind of a normal thing. We're used to, being tired out all day from digesting food. Like a lot of us, we just eat food all day long, like snacking and whatever. So the body's just tired from digesting. So when you're not doing that, then you get a lot of energy back. So you get that excess energy. My first thing is don't fight it. Do your best to work with it. You know, if you try to fight it, it's going to be worse. Figure out what your pattern is like and try to adapt to the pattern. Either that means staying up later, give yourself some activity to do, or understanding that when you go to sleep, you're just going to wake up early. Find something to do with your time. Okay. So that's the first thing. The second thing is essential oils. Lavender is a great tool to help you get better, more restful sleep. You can put it on your bed linen. You can put it on the bottom of your feet, especially in between your toes. You can put it on the back of your ears or the back of your neck or whatever, you know, and a high quality, a therapeutic grade essential oil can do wonders. You could put it in your water if you want to drink it. Might not taste the best, but you could do it. The other thing you could do is you could get some grounding sheets. Okay. So you get some grounding sheets, and that way when you go to sleep, you're more locked in. Your body is resting. The other thing, let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Maybe about a year ago, we started talking about a new affiliate that we have called LifeWave, and they have these light therapy patches that there's one light therapy patch called Silent Nights, and it helps you sleep. Now, what it does is it increases melatonin naturally. Some people find that the patch makes them sleepy. I don't necessarily find that the patch makes me sleepy, but I find that the patch, once I go to sleep, helps keep me sleep. It helps me get more rest while I sleep. So that's another option. I think that, you know, we do our best to like provide different options for you guys to take advantage of, but you know, you gotta try different things and see what works. Obviously, a little walking, a little exercise could probably help you out a lot if it's something that you don't already do. Let me see here. I'm trying to find links here. I usually have links like queued up, but I definitely didn't today. I've been out the game. I haven't gone live in a long time. That's why I'm going a little bit longer. Oh, by the way, the R72 starts on Sunday, y'all. So if you want to join us, we're going to be doing the R72 for all of September. We're going to be focusing on the parasite cleanse. That is something new we have never done. So if you guys are interested in learning more about how to properly eliminate parasites and go through all that process, I'm putting a link in the chat for that now. While I'm trying to pull up this other link. Let me see if I got this. Here we go. And here is the link for the Silent Night patches. Make sure y'all drink your water when you use these patches too. So those would be some of the tips I'd give you. So we said grounding sheets, lavender essential oil, Silent Night patches. Don't fight the process. Excellent. Excellent, Debbie. Yes. Yes, let's get off the medications. That is our goal. We don't want to figure out how to manage medications. Let's get off of them. What about a virtual retreat or enlisting a planning committee of volunteers who can help? Okay, so I'm gonna answer your last statement first. I probably won't do volunteers. Um, I don't know. I don't know that I'll ever do volunteers. When you guys come to our retreats, there are some people who are regulars at the retreats and they will help and whatever, and that's fine. But as far as like enlisting volunteers to like help me put together, I've done that in the past, and I think that people need to get paid for the work they do. That's just me. I find that it makes for a much better process. I've had lots of issues with volunteers in the past, and I think people need to get paid for what they do. Shell has been telling me we need to do a virtual retreat for a long time, and I'm not against virtual retreats. I just like in person. I like in person. You know, I don't know. Maybe I can't make a promise there. How do I stop the headaches while doing the water fast? I am a diabetic, and I get really bad headaches while water fasting. Okay, so practical tool, you could do peppermint essential oil. Peppermint essential oil on the back of the neck, or the the base of the skull or the temples. That can often help with headaches. I usually recommend, before you go into the fast, make sure that you like focus heavily on hydration. That helps with headaches more than probably anything else. I might ask what your sleep is like at night, because hydration is usually the problem with headaches. How much water are you drinking? Are you drinking at least 90 ounces of water a day? Because that could help you a lot with headaches. If you're not sleeping well, those are some practical. Peppermint essential oil, drink at least 90 ounces of water. I would infuse it, or you could do, I think I mentioned this earlier, you could do salt under the tongue. Get yourself a high quality sea salt. You just put 1 grain under the tongue, you let it dissolve, you drink your water. You'd be surprised at how quickly that can get rid of a headache. But what I'll say is fasting's not causing your headaches. So as your body begins to heal, you do the right thing more often than not, then you'll notice that you're able to fast without getting headaches. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. There is a lot of questions in here. Oh, wow. We're getting spammed. That's never happened before. I definitely was ignoring them because I didn't even know they were in here. Oh my. You're an angry one, aren't you? Hey, thanks for viewing though. I appreciate your viewership, and I appreciate you being active in the chat. I'm sure that helps with the YouTube algorithm. So regardless of if you think that's hurting me or not, it literally doesn't. It's funny to me. But I appreciate y'all tonight. I hope you got some good information out of this. Learned a lot. I'm excited. We have I will say the challenge, the packages we have, they're limited. The quantity is limited. So if you want a box, if you want one of the detox boxes, I would say don't wait, because what happens is it happens every time. On Friday of this week, that's when everybody will start buying, and then they'll get sold out. Okay, so, and you guys, like, I know what y'all do, but it's like so difficult to prepare, because I start promoting a challenge and I have a certain amount of packages available. And if like people aren't really buying a lot, then I don't order more in anticipation, So I've kind of like learned how y'all do. And I do my best to kind of like keep a few extras, but if you want one, grab one now, please. Okay. But anyway, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm tired, had a long day. I haven't eaten, so I guess I should eat something. I've had my water. As always, the application of knowledge is power. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.